Week 5 is here. It is a beautiful day to win, no matter how gloomy it might look outside. We have specials, we have boosters on Underdog, and you can tail us with promo code Underworld upon entry. It is time to dish some winners for Week 5 of the Player Profiler Pick and Power Hour. Welcome to the Week 5 bonus show of the Player Profiler Pick and Power Hour. We're coming off yet another, not a big surprise, yet another ugly Thursday night football. Ugly in the NFL is finding new ways to give us ugly primetime games. This time it is via the Justin Fields and DJ Moore masterclass. Brian Robinson never got a game script. That was over about 5 minutes into the game. Brian Robinson, the rushing script was gone, and you started seeing a rotation between him and Antonio Gibson catching passes. So not how we drew it up.
They didn't attempt a rush after midway through the second quarter. They literally, the rest of the game, did not attempt to rush the ball one time with anybody, let alone Brian Robinson. We had Player Profiler, we had him projected for close to 20 carries in that game. We were wrong. So if I had like a clown emoji I could overlay myself with right now, I would put that on.
Yeah, I mean, we have sound effects, but I'm saving them for real moments. There's nothing you can do about a 6.5 point underdog dominating from minute number 1. Ironically enough, it's weird to say this, but I feel like the Commanders would have been more in the game and maybe in positions to give Brian Robinson some rushes if they had made some smarter play calls on 3rd and short and not run the ball up the gut. So weird to say, but that's just how it is. Eric Bieniemy and Ron Rivera, not him.
I couldn't agree more. I'm never been a Ron guy. I'm just not a Ron guy, and I just don't understand like why they went. And then their pass offense, they're not using their 2 best players. Literally not using their 2 best players. Like, how do you have Scary Terry and his nickname is literally F1. That's how fast he is. That's how fast the guy is. His nickname is F1. And then you have Dotson, who has so much upside. Granted, Hal missed him a couple times when he was wide open, but there was just like, I can go shove my head through a wall. As someone that has a decent amount of exposure to Dotson and season long, that was mind-numbing. Now, let's talk about some fun stuff. How about our man DJ Moore? That boy put on a clinic.
And the Justin Fields stands are gonna get to me, so I'll keep it quick. But there may or may not have been 3 interceptable passes that all of which DJ Moore caught.
100% there was.
When I say may or may not, I'm being generous when I say 3.
Oh.
There was a 4th that was maybe debatable, but I saw 3 that I remember off the top of my head, 3 of them that were caught by DJ Moore, 2 of which he took for a touchdown. So
remember this too. This is how upset Washington fans were. They kept tweeting after the game, we could have drafted Christian Gonzalez instead. Instead, they let him go to Ahaan Patriots.
And of course, Christian Gonzalez is hurt now, so nobody is winning right now. Shout out Albert in the chat. Thanks for joining us. He says, hate Rivera. Could not agree more. I tweeted yesterday about how the play that Antonio Gibson made in the 3rd quarter, lining up outside wide receiver, and I think the score is 27-11 at the time. And that looked like, here come the Commanders against this Bears defense that can blow pretty much any lead. I thought that Antonio Gibson play was going to give the Commanders some spark, and that is incidentally why we never give up on Antonio Gibson, because the talent, the skill set is clearly there. But for now, until we get a new coaching staff maybe in Washington, it's going to be like this. It's going to be high volatility in Washington. Nothing we can do about it.
And side note, DJ Moore did not step out of bounds.
I'll leave.
As someone that has a lot, in case you guys aren't aware, I have a lot of exposure to DJ Moore this year. So that was, I needed that game out of him. Like, my Chicago best ball stacks were very excited, but I have a lot of DJ Moore. I play at a lot of the high stakes leagues where I'm starting 3 wides minimum. So I needed that game. That was nice.
Yeah, and that's now back to back. I mean, fair to say DJ Moore probably going to be a top 5 wide receiver this week. That's back to back weeks now.
Top 5. If he's not top 3, what is going on? The guy had 200 yards and 3 tutties. I don't know anybody can beat him this week.
Hopefully Christian Watson can give him a shot against that Raiders defense, but we'll see. But regardless, it's going to be tough. It's going to be back-to-back weeks in which DJ Moore is a top 5 fantasy wide receiver against 2 soft defenses, and the next few weeks against some more soft defenses. And I think that this run of 5 straight weeks that the Bears are playing bad defenses and with the Chargers. So this is DJ Moore's time to shine, and he's stepping up. So love that for him. And for us, it means it's time to look ahead to the Sunday slate. And as usual, if you are new to the show, the way this works on Fridays is we've already been in the lab a couple of days now, pretty much all week. We're always in the lab. I mean, even if we weren't hired by Player Profiler, we'd probably be in the lab. But regardless, we're here to give you Underdog picks pretty much all week long, and that includes on Thursdays. We dish out after Thursday Night Football. We dish out early Underdog picks, and they go up on the Underdog pick generator under the DFS Dominator at PlayerProfiler.com. So if you have that package, you can get in early on some of these projections. And once again, we see why you need to get in on these earlies. One of your picks, Trevor, this week has already moved a couple of yards. We still like it at the new number. I love it at the new number still, but you could have gotten an extra 2 yards of leeway if you took it when we dished out the picks on the Underdog pick generator. So a great tool to be signed up with. Without any further ado, Trevor, I'll let you kick it off. Which receiver are you targeting? Someone that I think we're both very high on. We almost just made this a collab entry because I absolutely love your picks this week.
Yeah, one of the cool things is we don't talk before, so we independently research just to see. And there's times where you can just go look and you just end up in the same spot because it makes sense. We talked about it on the Wednesday show that will the Bryce Young pick go down as one of the all-time worst picks with the 2 quarterbacks that were behind him. And Mr. Richardson we knew he had arm strength. I've been more impressed with the arm talent. And more importantly, he is targeted our man from the University of Southern California, Michael Pittman. This is just simple math for me. Let's talk about Pittman this season. Michael Pittman, 270 air yards with a 27% air yard share. He has 26 receptions on 38 targets for 245 yards. Remember, folks, Richardson didn't play in one of these games. He has 121 yards a yak, 121. He is getting 9.2 yards per route run. They have a 20.5 implied total. But who do they get more importantly? They give up Tennessee, we can't cover wide receivers, Titans. So let's talk about how bad the Titans are in that back half. Because I don't know that we've seen a team defensively that is as bipolar, opposite way of each other from run to pass as the Titans are right now. You cannot run on the Tennessee Titans. I don't care if JT's back. I don't care who's there. Richardson's going to run, but they're not running. This is not a run game for them because on the other end, Tennessee gives up a 72% catch rate. They've given up 825 yards. They're giving up 11.6 yards per route run. That's lunacy in 2023 of the NFL for you guys that are any little bit of stat nerd. And they've given up 71 receptions this year. Those are all top 5, top 3, top 10, bottom of the league, depending upon the stat. So we love Michael Pittman over 59.5 receiving yards. That is, on a side note, if I'm not on Underdog and I'm looking at a sports book, this is a good spot, in my opinion, to ladder this week. But for the purpose of what we're doing here, we're doing pick'ems. We're going higher. We're going lower. We're going Michael Pittman over 59.5 receiving yards. It is, I like it so much it scares me. Like that's always my worry, is when I'm like, man, like it's just the path is there, the target share is there, who he gets defensively is there. I think as long as they're standing, I think we're going to be okay on this one.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people, talk about, the line is too low for, sometimes the line is too low for a reason. Well, you have to dive into the data, and we have access to data that a lot of people don't, right? Fortunately, through PlayerProfiler, through the Data Analysis Plus tool, that we can look into these things. We have a lot of stats at our disposal. And a lot of times lines are set low for a reason. But in cases like these where it just checks all the boxes, you just have to trust the math and just realize that you're not going to win 100% of your plays, right? Like the projections will tell you something. These are humans playing football. You might not win 100% of them, but if you trust the math and make well-informed decisions over the course of a season, you're going to be profitable. And that's the goal here, right? Like we're not going to hit all of our collabs. We're not going to hit all these entries. But if a number should be in this high 60s and it's 59.5, you should probably take it. And if you keep making these kinds of bets long-term, you'll be up. Just to reiterate more on Tennessee, here are some wide receivers that have played against them this year. Chris Olave, 8 receptions, 112 yards. Keenan Allen, 8 receptions, 111 yards. And Mike Williams, 8 receptions, 83 yards in the same game. Amari Cooper, 7 receptions, 116 yards. Jamar Chase in that broken Bengals offense, 7 receptions for 73 yards. And there was a mini argument on Twitter with me about Amari Cooper being a lot better than Michael Pittman, Mike Williams being a lot better than Michael Pittman. I'm not convinced by either of those facts. Michael Pittman is very, very good at football. And so if Mike Williams as a second option can put up 83 yards on that defense, Michael Pittman asking for 60, I'm certainly fine with it that I love it. And speaking of things that I love and things that were also on my list, Trevor, I'll let you take it away with your second pick as well. And you're going after a rookie that not only I love, but Dario Offstein, our analytics guy, loves. He mentioned him at the Fantasy Football Expo when we were hanging out together. We made videos about him. Who is this rookie?
If you were picking me or Billy Muzio's brain early in the season, during draft season, we might have let it out. If you were just in drafts with me, you saw who I was taking at the end of drafts. We want fit in scheme. Right. So example, I like the offense they're currently running in Indianapolis with Pittman the way he is. To give you an idea, we map out based on his projections this week. I'm going to go back to there one more time, just another number. I was going to tease everybody and not give them those stats. I was going to tell them they got to come read the article because I got all those teed up for after. But the true line on this should be minus 160. But we are going, if you're watching us on video, we are going to the man. We are going to the myth. We are going to the legend, Mr. Devon Achane. In case you're unaware, people, I heard a comment this week. It kind of blew my way. They were like, saying how Shanahan's going to do what Mike McDaniel's doing. Let's be clear, folks. I think, one, Mike McDaniel is a world-class coach, but he learned under Shanahan. There's a reason this offense runs the way it does and it works the way it does. It takes a special kind of person. But 2, they're going to run the ball when they can. And who has the best run block matchup of this week? The Miami Dolphins. Even with their left tackle out. That's how bad the Giants have been. The Giants are everybody watch that game. Like the Giants are so bad. It's unbelievable. So let's talk about like what they're doing. So first, Miami has the highest implied team total of the week at 30.5. Can that all come through the air? Sure. Will it all come through the air? Math says no. All right. They're currently averaging, right, with Mr. Achane, he's averaging 11.44 yards per carry, folks. Let me say that again for the people in the back. I don't think you understand how out of world that number is. It's 11.4 yards per carry, 103 yards in a game. He has a league leading 18.5% explosive run rate. What's explosive run rate? Those are when we measure runs that go for 15 yards or more. 18% of his runs, 18% are going for 15 yards or more. And now he gets a dream matchup against this team. This is, when we're going for overs with running backs, you've heard me say this before. When they're going to go higher, I want a person that can break it in one play. Now you give me one of the fastest players in the league, someone that has an insane matchup, right? The Giants are giving up 4.3 yards per carry, and they've given up the fourth most run yards to running backs in the NFL this season. I just don't think there could be a better this is such an easy matchup for me. I was overthinking it. I kept looking at other stuff because I'm talking myself out of it because I'm like, if I'm going higher, who do I want? He's going to continue to be the one, and they will use Moisture Wilson when he comes back. All they will be there for is to spoil him. This is a running back prototype that they're looking for. This is like the Niners finding Purdy late in the draft. And guys, you guys have to stop with this late round, he's never going to make it stuff. You guys have to stop with that. Does draft capital matter? Yes. But look at the Detroit Lions. Look at what they did and look at how Gibbs is being used. While it matters, talent matters. Some of these guys mature a little bit later. More importantly, some coaches and some staffs are really good at drafting for their scheme. And Achane fits this scheme perfectly. There's other offenses in the league he would not be doing this in, but this scheme is built for him. I love this play. I know Ahaan loves this play, and you should love this play. And this is not going to close at 50.5. So go grab the hires before they go. I'm going to lock mine up right now because I've had really, really terrible luck at getting these to go. I'm going to click confirm. Mine is confirmed. So that way I'm not going later and going, I can't click it now.
See, this is our weekly reminder that we are such good human beings that we wait for the show to be live so that we can lock these in with you so we're not giving out numbers that you can't get later. And as you've seen on previous shows, they move every minute. And, no excuses, but my excuse for losing that Jamar Chase play a few weeks ago was because I had to force something else, while the numbers were moving, live. So that's why, down the stretch, we're going to be prepared so that we're locking in the same things you are, which is why you need to be live here live with us during the bonus shows. You hit the nail. Go ahead.
I wanted to tell them too is, Underdog, we talked about this on the other show, has their, they're calling them spicy plays, they're boosters. There's a great one I would go take a look at in that game. We saw Daniel Jones just get sacked. What was it, 11 times, 10 times? I can't even count that high. They added a spicy pick for this game that I really like. I almost made it an official pick here, but they added Christian Wilkins for a spicy sack. So you can add that in as a booster, and then you can see instead of going up, it goes up to like 3.75. But I really like that, and I love his tackles and assists this week versus that terrible Giants team.
Love it. And, you hit the nail on the head with Devon Achane. And, I've talked with some of, my football lovers recently about Devon Achane, about the fact that, RBs for an NFL team don't matter, relative, analytically, RBs don't matter as much as your wide receivers, your offensive lines do. But also that Devon, someone brought up the point. How come the Dolphins just keep signing these players with similar build because that's what works for them. They're good at putting players in positions to succeed in their scheme. If Achane was on the Patriots right now, I don't think I'd be able to watch him, right? Because this offense is just ugly. This offense works for get guys with elite speed, and they will do the rest. And one more, inkling of added context on just how ugly it might get, game script wise for the Dolphins. Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, if you didn't already see it, he told the media that his wife asked him how he's sleeping as he prepares for the game. His answer, quote, sleeping like a baby. Every 2 hours, I wake up and cry, go to the bathroom, and try to go back and get some more sleep. The Dolphins are 12-point favorites this week, and it might not be enough. Achane will probably get a positive game script, and he might not even need it to clear this line. 2 weeks ago, 41% of the snaps, 18 carries in that positive game script. This was his introduction to the NFL against the Broncos in just 41% of the snaps, 18 carries, 203 yards. Last week, completely opposite situation, a negative game script where it's not conducive to running the football. 60% of the snaps, 8 for 101, but that also means probably a little more well-rested than average because he only had 11 touches last week. So I like that we are getting in this brilliant matchup, in this great matchup, this line which has not adjusted to just how well he fits this offense. So I absolutely love it. And before I give you my picks, we're about to hear a word from our sponsor, and I'll just say this one more thing before we get into it. I'm going to lock in those picks as pick 'em as well. I already put Pittman straight on the sportsbook, Achane straight on the sportsbooks.
Me too.
Last night, and if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen that I got those in very early, and I saw the message from Trevor that he's rolling with these picks, and I'm like, you know what? We're going 4-0 this week. I feel it. But before we get into my pick 'em specific picks, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Hey, so many ask me, what's wrong with sportsbooks? Why so many of them fail? The answer is simple. They don't innovate. They're just casino sportsbooks on a phone. That's all they've been. There are a few that are doing a good job. We partner with them. Most of them, not so much. Until Bet Openly came along. Bet Openly said, hey, we're going to innovate. We're going to do something groundbreaking. We're going to have peer-to-peer betting in all states, and you pay 1%. When you win, you pay just 1% on your winnings. You heard that right. It's 1%. With code Underworld, you qualify for just that 1% transaction fee on Bet Openly. It gives you ultimate flexibility to set your own lines and browse lines that others have set. Think about it. That's what betting should be. And now that is the reality. BetOpenly.com. The code is Underworld. Check it out.
We're back on the Player Profiler Pick'em Power Hour. Trevor Tipton and Ahaan Rungta here, giving you Underdog Pick'ems that you can tail using promo code Underworld upon entry. Trevor last week is coming off a 2-pick winner, and on the bonus show, he just gave you what I believe and he believes is another 2-pick winner for week 5. Going back to back. I'm so close to making a Drake reference, but out of respect for his new album.
No, we're not. That name is no.
We're not gonna make references because I couldn't even get myself to start the album. Anyway,
we're doing stuff from the same game here today too.
Yeah, I'm see. Here's the thing. So we, like I said, we wait till I was gonna say game time, but stream time to lock in our picks to make sure we give you numbers that still exist. And I couldn't decide, which way I want to go for this one, but I ended up at 4:30 p.m. locking in what I want, and I think for the culture, it makes sense to. I'm going to go backwards here a little bit. Going to Sunday Night Football because your 49ers play on Sunday Night Football this week. It is a huge game. Cowboys 49ers. The 49ers may or may not own the Cowboys. In the last few years, makes sense. They've had the superior roster, and the Cowboys season ended last year at the hands of the 49ers. But it's It's a brand new season, and the Cowboys are improved. They're improved defensively in the secondary, and they are number one in pass rush win rate, number one in pressure rate. Micah Parsons, defensive player of the year candidate. That defense is absurd, but we know the 49ers defense is absurd as well, and the roster just top to bottom probably best in the NFL right now, which is why the 49ers are slight favorites. But I think we can all agree that Brock Purdy hasn't faced much adversity as a starter in the NFL. He just come in, done his job, and he was asked to be the starting quarterback for a Super Bowl contender right away. Yes, that is adversity, but he hasn't been having to make a lot of tough passes. He hasn't been asked to scramble a lot, and he hasn't faced a defense that is as on fire as the Cowboys are right now. The chance that he got last year to do that was against the Eagles, but he got hurt and he couldn't have his moment. This is his moment. He's got to step up and continue this undefeated streak. I'm taking Brock Purdy higher than 2.5 rushing attempts. Now, everybody wants to take the higher receiving yards on a receiver. Everybody loves that. That's exciting. We love the higher on rushing yards on Devon Achane. That's exciting. This is going to be a sweat. But you take a look at the numbers, and he hit this in 5 out of 8 of his games last year. He's hit this in 3 out of 4 of his games this year. That's despite facing very little adversity. We know that what Dallas has done so far this season against each of these quarterbacks, and every single quarterback has had to run for their life pretty much. Week 1, it started with Daniel Jones rushing 13 times for 43 yards. In week 2, the New York Jets, Zach Wilson rushes 5 times for 36 yards. Week 3, the Arizona Cardinals. I was on the Josh Dobbs over here. I had caught up already. Josh Dobbs, he actually cashed me out in the first quarter, but Josh Dobbs, 6 carries for 55 yards. And in week 4, the New England Patriots, with Mac Jones getting benched in the third quarter, he still rushed 3 times for 7 yards. So Brock Purdy, 51st percentile 40 speed. He's not a complete unathletic, ball of whatever. He can run. He can scramble. He's a good decision maker. We're not asking for big runs. We just need 3 scrambles. And, oh, by the way, a kneel counts as a rushing attempt.
Yeah, he's I think this is a pretty straightforward pick. This is one that they're going to get after him. I disagree with your statements about him not having to be big in big spots yet. Everybody continues to talk the kid down, and all the kid does is win. But the thing he is going to see is he's going to see the most pressure he has seen yet from a defensive front. And I don't see how this. I would be shocked if this doesn't hit. Just from the pressure standpoint, the one real kick in the armor of the Niners is their offensive line. They're going to use Kittle to chip Parsons all the time. They're going to move Parsons around because they're going to get sick of Kittle chipping him. But Purdy's going to have to scramble. He can scramble. He can move. I think this cash is pretty early.
Yeah, and I want to make it ultimately clear that that you're going to find a weird crowd on Twitter that is waiting for Brock Purdy to finally make a bad pass and rooting on his demise. And I'm certainly not one of those guys. Won't drop names. I
hope both the sides of their pillows are hot tonight.
Right, and Trevor's a passionate 49ers fan.
Yes.
I have no dog in the fight here. Right, I have. Yeah.
We just like winning.
Right. This is the first thing I'm playing in this Sunday Night Football game. Not a Cowboys fan, not a 49ers fan, but I want to make it very clear that I'm not one of those guys who will say that I'm quitting my job if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, because I think they can with Brock Purdy. So we got a few people in the chat. We got a lot of people watching, some people commenting. Trevor just talked about Christian Wilkins and his tackles plus assists or the sack. You could take that. He recommends that.
Go check the Underdog pick generator on PlayerProfiler.
Exactly. And Christian Wilkins, there's a sack booster play. And if you are unfamiliar with how these boosters work, you can see one on the screen right now. If you're watching on YouTube, Brock Purdy, an interception. That's not a pick 'em. That's not, even juice on both sides. If you think Brock Purdy's going to throw an interception and you want an extra boost for it because it's plus money on the books, that's what you do. It's accounting for the fact that it's less likely to happen, so you're getting a 1.25 times boost. I know Trevor's not taking that one, but he is taking a few other ones, including.
I would actually like it if Diggs was playing. It might be one. I mean, he's due to throw an interception, like he's due, and if a team could do it, it's Dallas. But without Diggs, they're not the same for me. Like in the secondary, that's. I don't care what team you are, right? When you lose your best cornerback, that's a tough blow.
Yeah. And someone asked, can I use these picks and parlay them on the sports books? Yes, you can. Not all of them will be available on the sports books. For example, the fantasy points. DraftKings does not have fantasy points for most players. Sometimes there's a yards after the catch or a fumbles metric, and that's why Underdog can be so fun with these. It brings me to a great point, which is that Underdog also has a special, and each week Underdog is giving out thousands of dollars to people who use the yellow square at the top of their screen in their entry in some form, right? So for me, it's Garrett Wilson. Trevor, what do you have on the board?
I got D-Hop right now. This is the second I've seen this week. I'm going to see if I can get somebody else. I'm not going with D-Hop. I just don't know what to – Tannehill looks like Brucey from The Longest Yard when he's throwing. Like, that's what I think of when I see Tannehill trying to throw the ball to two of the best receivers in the NFL. Like, I love Treylon Burks. Burks has so much upside. Then you have one of the GOATs, right? Hopkins is going to go down as one of the top, 20 receivers in NFL history. And I just don't know that Tannehill can get him the ball, right? It's the same problem with Garrett right now. Like, which Zach Wilson shows up, like, we don't know who's going to be there. Right. And then do they say, hey, Zach Wilson's got to beat us with everybody because they go stick Surtain on him and they just run Surtain on him all game. If they do, they're not going to throw the ball to Garrett. Those are two tough ones for me. I'm going to wait. I've played him every week. I want my shot at part of that 100K, but I'm going to hold off and kind of see if I can get one more rotation because I had CeeDee Lamb to start the week. So I'll be interested to see if I can get one more rotation through. And it's probably going to be worse. I'll be like, I should have took D-Hop.
Yeah. And for me, it's Garrett Wilson. And like you said, there's the reason we don't, have Garrett Wilson on the main card is everything Trevor just said, which is I don't want to put, all my nuts on table, figuratively. I don't want to put my nuts on the table for Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson, the Garrett Wilson connection, no matter what matchup it is. But I think I will be partaking in the Garrett Wilson square. I do have a read on it. I think it's not a strong read. Now I am limited to $20, and I think many of you are limited. So what I'm going to do is, if you're in the Player Profiler Discord, I'm going to be using my Garrett Wilson square in a 5-pick flex. And there may or may not be some boosters in it. There may or may not be some plays from the Underdog pick generator that I threw in. Maybe this is my opportunity to throw in a little Achane in there. So I'm gonna use this week's Underdog 100K Sunday special. I'm gonna enter this lottery, and I'm gonna use it on a 5-pick flex. And if you're in the Player Profiler Discord, I'm gonna drop it there. And I'm sure Trevor, when he has his own entry, he's gonna drop it there as well. We also have someone saying, thoughts on anything for the London game. I have a pick I really like in the London game, and it's not on the Underdog pick generator because I was waiting on some more information from the sports books. I think I have a side there, and I think one of my London plays is going to be a defensive player, and I'm going to put it in my 5-pick. So be in the Player Profiler Discord. If I end up locking that in, you'll see it.
I'm actually going to have a DFS play specifically for that game. So you can come into the Discord, check it out. You'll see, like, I have a 3-play from both sides. I've been the same. I'm watching, making sure, waiting on any last second news, but there's a couple plays that I really like from that side. I'll be interested to see if we can get it there, but I'll have something there as well for that game.
We have another question talking about the Lions. So Amon St. Brown, now doubtful. And we got injuries all over the place. I mean, the return of Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds is questionable. Is Lions D going to get overworked? There's a reason we don't have any pick'ems today from the Lions, right? Yeah. Number one, it's an ugly game. It's against the Panthers. It's a huge spread. This is not the game script we want to live and die off of. Also, if you are looking for more podcast network or podcasts over the course of the week on the Player Profiler Network, the Game Plan by Maddie Kiwoom runs every week, and you want to get in on some of that action because the game plan is useful no matter what you're doing. If you're betting on player props, if you're playing pick'ems, if you're setting fantasy lineups, if you're managing your dynasty team, Maddie Kiwoom covers all of it. He is, also a co-host of Trade Gods, so he knows his stuff. He keeps up with this information so that you don't have to, and he answers your questions in chat. We love Maddie Kiwoom, so you want to go follow the game plan, and that's my recommendation. Over the course of the week to keep track of all the stuff before tip-off. I personally have no thoughts on the lines right now, other than
I do. I do. I got it crystal clear. We're going to cash our Monty over this week. Like Monty's going over this week. What are they going to do? They're going to run the ball down the worst, like the top three worst, like rushing defenses in the league. Monty's going to run for another 150 yards and 2 TDs against them. Like they don't have to throw the ball. Like they don't even have to try. They have arguably the best offensive line in the NFL that is 100% healthy. And the Carolina defense is terrible. Like they don't have to do anything. Like I actually think this is a week Gibbs is going to break out too. I think they're just going to rotate Monty and Gibbs, right, and just run it down their throat. They don't have. That's how good Detroit is. They're not going to have to throw the ball. Also, Sammy touchdown Laporta is going to have a game. Heard it here first.
Something nasty just happened to my entire body when you said David Montgomery. It's about all I'll say on that subject.
Yeah.
Speaking of, DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans, I do have a way I want to attack the Titans this week, and I found it very interesting. In a divisional game, right, in a Ryan Tannehill versus Anthony Richardson, this is not the kind of game where people are thirsty for offense, right? Nobody wants to back Ryan Tannehill. People are just now starting to get on the Anthony Richardson train. But here we are. We have a pick on Pittman which both of us agree on, and I'm pairing my Purdy pick with something in this game. And I'm going back to good old faithful Derick Henry. So I'm taking higher than half a rushing plus receiving touchdown. Now, I think it's absolutely hilarious that you see, the rushing plus receiving touchdown and the rushing touchdown. Make sure you're taking the rushing plus receiving just in case he takes a screen to the house. And I'm taking the higher on this. So for starters, this is minus 180 on the books. And I know the books price on touchdowns doesn't mean everything because they don't offer the other side. So, of course, they're going to be more juiced than normal. But it shows you that if you like Derick Henry to find the end zone, you better be taking this as a pick'em. And you don't want to take that on the sports books. You want to take it as a pick'em. Okay, now he faces an Indianapolis Colts defense that has not been good all around. Their secondary is suspect, and they've allowed 4 rushing touchdowns to running backs this season. Only 5 teams have given up more. The implied team total, despite the fact that Treylon Burks is out, the implied team total for Tennessee is 22.5. The Vegas total for this game is 43.5. It's a close spread. So I think we actually see 43.5 is a little bit of a high number considering it's a divisional game between 2 quarterbacks that not everybody trusts. So the Tennessee implied team total of 22.5, I think that's pretty sharp. And since last year, Henry has a touchdown, and all of his touchdowns have been rushing. He has a touchdown in 9 of 12 games when Tennessee scores at least 17. He's scored in 2 out of 4 of the games. Last week, he didn't score because the Tennessee Titans basically never even got scoring region against a defense that I don't trust at all. Hopefully, it sounds odd to say, but I think we get a sneaky shootout between these Tennessee Titans and the Colts. And if Tennessee is to produce any sort of touchdown drive, they're going to give it to the guy that has 9 red zone carries. And for those of you that are worried about Tajay Spears, For reference, Tajay Spears has 2 red zone opportunities this season. Compare that with Henry's 9. Henry is still, at this age, the guy in the red zone for the Titans. So I'm walking it in right now for half a unit. Brock Purdy, higher than 2.5 rushing attempts on Sunday Night Football. And for an afternoon pick, Derick Henry, higher than half a rushing plus receiving touchdown. It's it.
Hey, we got them in without them moving during the show. That's the first time this season.
And on Thursday, we actually had the Justin Fields rushing, go down on stream, and it didn't end up mattering because, that hit either way. But I think Brock Purdy, that line is going to stay where it is pretty much the whole time. It's a sneaky one. I think it's going to just stay there. It's pick 'em on the books. It's going to stay up as pick 'em here. The Derick Henry one, I think, might vanish because this Derick Henry, I think on the books it opened at -150 and now it's -180. So there's some steam there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone from the pick'em board as well. Just to review, I have Brock Purdy higher than 2.5 rushing attempts and Derick Henry higher than half a rushing plus receiving touchdown. Trevor, what do you got?
All right, we have Devon Achane over 50.5 rush yards. And the man, the myth, the legend, Michael, I'm going to score touchdowns this week as well. Pittman with Anthony Richardson throwing him the ball. That's how excited I am about him this week. So I'm excited. We got 4 plays. This is how excited I am. I'm so excited. I'm going to put all of these in one play.
I think the move. I think the move for me is I'm gonna be cheesing a little bit here because if you know, like I already mentioned this, but I took Achane straight on the books and I took Pittman straight on the books before we even talked about them. Right, that's how much we're on the same page about those. I might do 2, 5 picks for this game, maybe one today, and there's probably going to be a separate underdog special tomorrow, and I'm going to put Achane and Pittman in one package. And then in another entry, I'm going to, go a little crazy, maybe put in a little booster on these touchdowns because there are a few where we were on the same page on there as well. And I'm going to drop that in the Player Profiler Discord. And to answer the question in chat, once again, if you cannot use Underdog and you would like to hit the sports books, you may do that as well. There's a lot of overlap between our pick'em content and what might be a good idea on the sportsbook. If you're in the Player Profiler Discord, there's a separate channel called Top Bets if you're on the sportsbooks. And right next to it, there's a channel called Pick'ems, which is where we'll be hanging out and dropping these entries.
We just got Detroit higher or lowers on Underdog.
Ooh. And I know where you're going already. I mean, you just mentioned it, but I know where you're going.
Yeah, we're gonna add that one in for a $5. We're gonna make that a $5 and go for it. But I'm going to go a little different on Pittman. They added some stuff with Pittman that I like. They're adding you got to come into the Discord and check it out. But they added something I really, really like for Pittman in this game, and I'm going to try to take advantage of it.
Oh, okay. I just refreshed my page and I see.
Yeah, you know where I'm going, but I'm going to tease them. They got to come. They got to come into the. They got to come in to see where it is.
And as usual, if you want to read, everything we just talked about, if you're just coming in late into the show is out now, and it's going to just stay on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's not going to be uploaded as a podcast. If you were late on the bonus show, you could hear us here as well. And on Saturday morning, we will recap everything that we talked about today. We'll re-mention the Underdog, 100K special. You want to be in the Player Profiler Discord if you want in on some of our pick 5s. If you want to sprinkle, $10, $20 on some bombs while also entering the Underdog lottery. And don't forget, if you want in on these picks early, I'll just say one right off the bat. There was a Patriots lower than. I was so excited to give out a Patriots lower than on stream just so that people know that I'm not allergic to Patriots fades. I was excited to give it out, but that line moved on us. And if you got it in when the Underdog pick generator came out, you're happy and you didn't miss out on anything. But I'm so excited for a 4-0 card this week. We will see everybody next week, Wednesday, on All the PlayerProfiler platform on the network platforms for week 6. But before that, let's go 4-0.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.